Hey everyone, my name is Metro, and today we're taking a look at Iron Docks Gold Challenge Mode. I love this one. This is really cool. Very similar to Shadowpan Monastery Gold. If you ever did that one, you know that there was a ton more mobs than you actually needed from mob count. A lot didn't count, and you had to kill tons of trash, right? But there was a lot of different ways you can skip. So this is exactly, it's the same dungeon basically in terms of the mob count distribution. There's going to be probably close to 100 mobs in this dungeon. And they don't all count, some do count, etc., but you can skip different variants. So what we did is what I consider the YOLO strategy, as the bros would say, and this may not be the best for everyone, but I'm going to walk you through how to execute this strategy, and I'll tell you a little bit about like the options around this strategy. Like if you don't want to do this, but you're still watching this video, I'll tell you where you should and should not pull, etc. But this was pretty tough. Typically, I'd say you need one person to carry, but there was no real crazy carry pack. We lust out of the gate on the trash, and everybody did a great job. So we wasted a lot of time though. So this is really a very, very, very comfortable gold if you use this strategy, have good DPS, and you can pull this off very well. So I guess that's everything. Let's get right into the actual video and strategy. Alright, so out of the gate, we elect to pull 4 packs, I guess technically 3, but one of them's the Siege Master. Alright, he's a big guy here. So you're going to see, this is not, if you were not looking to do the YOLO strat, you're not going to go back and pull this one that I death grip there. You see that death grip? That's going to add the 3rd pack. If you're just looking to do the conservative pull and not do the thing later in the instance, then you do not need to pull that extra pack, right? But this is very, very, very dangerous. Like I said, as you can see, we have really, really good DPS. I would definitely say Gorfiend's Grasp is pretty much mandatory for this pull. If not, there's just going to be a lot of mobs kind of doing their own thing, and we absolutely annihilate this pack. So the next thing that we do here is, once again, pull another optional pack. The pack I'm about to go get here, there's 3 there, and then the Technician as the 4th for this pack. So this is 3 Technicians, essentially 4 when I grab that one. There it is there. These guys are very, very dangerous. They do a lot of damage. They throw the axes or whatever. So yeah, like you should see these guys later in the dungeon as well. They're going to do a lot of damage to you. This is pretty much where things get really hairy, because obviously out of the gate you're going to use all your CDs, especially as a Death Knight. I got tons of them, so I don't really know, like what you should and shouldn't use, but either way, the point is that this is the pack that you're going to die to, probably. The first one, you're going to have everything. So try to spread as much as you can. You'll see here, kind of just cycling through the potions. I'm getting gripped. Actually, the Druid, I didn't realize how good Druid were going to be for this. You could, like, pretty much kite, like, Druid. You see that? Like the knockback and then the Vortex as well. So if you have the classes that seem like this is possible, you should consider it. It saves you a lot of time. Especially after, this whole room was pretty much cleared out of mobs, and this is where we would start. Now, if you were not going to use that strategy, this is where the next part of the dungeon, like the next room, essentially starts. Typically, I would pull the ones that are right here where we're standing currently, and then I'd pull this guy, so as 4. But instead of, since we pulled that whole first room, we're going to pull all of the rest of this room. Now, you're going to see the Warlock go over and grab the 2 mobs on the right. Alright, you'll see them come in there. Try to make sure you note these. They're pretty important. I would say if you're going to use the strategy, every single mob counts. So now, once again, I just don't have anything left. Bone Shield and Active Mitigation are pretty much all I can rely on here. And it's going to get mad dicey. But like I said, this is proof that if you actually do this strategy properly, this is easy. This is an easy gold time, because we lose a player. I mean, DPS is not very good right now. I'm really panicking. Like, I'm struggling to even do damage because I'm just kind of like, look at, I have I have Soul Leech up, but I'm not using it, or Plague Leech, whatever, and I just don't, you know what I mean? I'm panicked, just sheer panic. This is the first time we ever successfully executed this, and we managed to get gold with it. So that's how easy this, like, okay, that's how much time you're afforded if you pull this. So after we have 25 mobs coming out of this with all these mobs pulled, and that was about 1.5 to 2 minutes faster than when we did it with the YOLO pull. And you saw I stood around for a good 15 seconds waiting to pull that guy. We stand around for a good 10 seconds here waiting for everyone to get here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We pull the boss. Now there's another pack behind the boss as well. You could, I think there's 4 in that pack. That might have been the proper, like we probably should have pulled them as well, because you'll see why later on. But anyway, the boss itself pretty much does nothing. So like I said, out of the gate you need to you probably won't, like DPS need to pre-pot out of the gate. You're gonna lust. Tank is probably only ever gonna get 1 potion in. But if you drop combat in between those 2 YOLO pulls and whatever, if you don't do the YOLO pulls, then you pre-pot before you pull the 2 and the Siege Master, and then you have your potion up again for every pack pretty much. But anyway, the bosses, there's nothing to talk about here. Just kill the dog. Once the boss spawns, get on the boss, and then once he puts up the shield, you go back to the dog. So you pretty much always have something to attack until the dog dies, and then at that point you have a good 30, maybe not that long, but you have a good amount of time before you need to worry about the shield coming up again. And that's the whole of the fight. The boss, this boss especially, it's like night and day compared to the trash. The trash hits incredibly hard and is so many different mechanics. The incinerators and the technicians are pretty much what do all the damage, but then again, there's the big elite guys, there's the named mobs, there's the Siege Master. It's a mess, you know what I mean? So here we go. This is a pretty good representative of how fast the boss needs to die. You see the DPS isn't spectacular, but then again, I mean, we managed to clear that first 25 mobs in about 2 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, but yeah, there's nothing really to talk about here. Just pace yourself. I would recommend, as DPS, use all your cooldowns on the trash, obviously, if you're going to use this strategy. If not, then you're going to save them for the boss. Make sure you lust on that boss. That's where you want to lust. Typically, I would have recommended arming out of the gate, but I forget to in this video, which is embarrassing. But now, this is where things get a bit messy. This is something you should be doing regardless of which pull route you want to execute. You're going to pull those 2 here. Take them in front of the Iron Star, and as you'll see, the Iron Star kills them. It does give you mob count, so provided you do that properly, you'll get them. Here's where things get a bit tricky. This is something that I had not done prior to entering this group, but I'm going to run down here. All right, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to run down here and get this giant Ogron and the pack that is surrounding him. Okay, and I'm going to pull them all the way back to the Iron Star. Now, this kind of begs the question that if you can do this with these, can it be done with the whole dungeon? Like, can you literally just pull all the trash to this guy, to this Iron Star? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, honestly. I've not done that type of research. I've not tried that, but you'll see here we get 4 mobs out of this Iron Star, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know what counted and what did not count, but there was at least, there was like the 9 pack that are not counted because they're the Iron Star trash typically. 2 of them don't die. We've had upwards of all 9 not die. Sometimes 5, sometimes 3. We tried this multiple times. Some always survive from the pack that, they're meant to be killed with the Iron Star. They're literally not meant to be killed by anything other than the Iron Star, but they don't all die. I don't know why, but yeah. So we pulled the 3 pack of technicians and then the Ogron pack into that Iron Star and only got 4 mobs. So I really couldn't tell you what the difference is there, but either way, you'll need to kill those mobs. So if for some reason you don't feel confident doing that as a tank, honestly, you need to. You need to learn how to do that because I don't know why we only got 4 mobs, frankly, but it makes it so much faster. Now, another little envoy here that you can employ is the Barrage deals damage to the mobs themselves. So you're going to see me tank them right on the edge here. Make sure everyone's with you. And then there you go. He knocks them back. We got the Vortex there. And the mobs are going to take extra damage from the Barrage. They don't do a ton of damage. It's not like... I mean, there's been... so like the first pack in Scarlet Monastery from last expansion, you use the barrels and it just blows them all up. That's not... it's not going to be that much damage, but it's DPS that you wouldn't have otherwise. And especially if you don't have any melee, which we do not. We have Bombkin, Warlock, and Hunter. This is a clear choice. Like, you need to do that. And even if you do have melee, it's probably still a DPS gain. Same thing with this guy. I'm going to pull him out. Realistically, I probably should have pulled him the other way, since this is technically a longer run once he dies, but it's whatever. The Barrage is going to do about, like, probably 15 to 20% of his health. It's only going to happen once. If I pulled him on the other side, it would have happened twice, just based on the timing that we employed here. In fact, I believe if you come through this at the time that we came through it, it should always employ this way. So you should pull him to the other side of the box, like not the way I'm facing now, the other way, and that'll be more damage. But really, it's you know, it's just however you feel. This next pack is going to be pretty dangerous. There's going to be a lot of fire. And then the big Siege Master dude is going to do his whirlwind. So be careful. But once again, you need to make sure you're utilizing the barrage to get as much damage in on these possible. If you have a Bombkin, you can knock him back. Perhaps Ellie Shaman knock him back. Resto Druid can knock him back. You know, Tank Druid, any Druid can knock him back, really. You could also, if you had a Brewmaster and a DK Tank, you could Gorfine's Grasp to the statue. I don't know, there's multiple options, but it's paramount. It makes the pack go faster, and as long as you don't have melee running all around. Like, if you had 2 melee, this would probably be pretty tough to execute, but yeah, I don't know, it really shouldn't matter. Just, it does more damage than you could do, so it probably needs to be done 100% of the time. And then the barrage there, you'll see it will finish them, plus the damage we have. Now, this next boss is where things start to crack down. This boss can either take you minutes, or it can be really quick, and the first time we came through here, we made huge mistakes. The first misplay that you want to avoid is to accidentally break the blood shield, which should be obvious, but it's not always obvious. And there's the hunter pulling thread who didn't misdirect me. Thank you. Anyway, the target we're talking about going for is the big guy, because the big guy throws damage at the ranged, which is pretty interesting. Now, the warlock pointed out in this dungeon that if you stand on the ramp, the fire will go underneath the ramp, and you'll see the bomb can move up there as well. You can dodge it. All the mechanics on this fight are dodgeable. I guess the tank might have some trouble doing so, but it's not really difficult. I actually army here instead because of how we approached the dungeon. I felt like it was the best usage. There's not going to be any more trash, and you know, 3 targets with army is pretty decent. So that's pretty much the whole fight. I would definitely recommend pre-potting. We don't do an invis here. There's not really a case for an invis if you use the strategy we're using, although it is pretty situational. It cuts off a lot of time, and we still don't do it anywhere near correctly. So with the blood sphere, once again, as a tank, you want to move the mob that you're not attacking, or you want to move away from the mob that has the blood sphere so you don't accidentally kill it. The first time we came through here as well, just blood boils and diseases and probably incidental damage. It broke it even on CM. So it's very, very important that does not happen. You will not get gold if that happens. They heal for like 15 to like 30% of their health, depending on what health they have. And then theoretically, we wanted to kill the big guy first, but damage is clearly split, especially since you're making so many switches. It's not always something that you can do fundamentally, so just kill them. You know what I mean? The last one alive should be the Jesse Cox reference, and yeah, that's pretty much that. Now, another thing. Now, at this point, we need 5 mobs left. All right, so let's talk. If you did not do the YOLO strategy in the beginning, then you will need a full hallway worth of mobs. All right. Even though we did the YOLO strategy, we still did not execute this properly, and I don't know where we messed up. I don't know if we should have pulled more mobs in the second room, right? The room before the first boss, or if the Iron Star didn't give us a correct mob count. But like I said, there's at least 6 mobs in the pack with the Ogron, and we only got 4 mobs for him. So I don't know what happened there. I don't really know. But either way, Bombkin goes ahead and pulls. We need 5 mobs, so the goal we're looking to achieve here is to pull these 2, and then skip the next like 9 or whatever it is, and then pull the final 3. And just because of how quickly we get through the first instance, these mobs have a lot of health. Like these giants, I don't even, cleft hoofed, whatever, you know, these dudes they take a lot of damage to kill. So if you can skip these packs, you probably want to do it. I guess technically you can consider an invis here. This strategy is pretty open, I would say. Like at this point, if you have mobs left, it's pretty much up to you. Maybe it would have been more pertinent to not die, not suicide, and just use an invis pot. But I think if you can avoid using invis potions in these, you should, simply because the DPS potion is just so much more potent. So there you go. So now we need 3 mobs, and you're gonna see this is exactly like the Shadow Pan skip. We do need a warlock to execute it, so please note that. I don't know if the priest invis thing will work like it used to. In the last expansion, you used to be able to get away with that in Shadow Pan. But yeah, or like a hunter who's an engineer could feign death and then res with the knife. But in the previous expansion, I thought it would have been pertinent to stop and try to kill some of these mobs before we die, but the group didn't agree with that, so we waste some time here as well. Like, this is a good 10 seconds that we waste. We should have just died immediately instead of like wavering on should we try to kill one of these quickly or whatever. But they all just come way too quick, and there's no way you're going to survive for more than a few seconds. So once again, an intentional wipe. We have a soul stone on the priest. The priest is going to res and makes a big misplay here. Once again, cutting off, you know, this is another 15 seconds that we waste pretty much. The priest reses me. I don't have a res. I could have battle res somebody, but I don't have runic power, so we pretty much, I mean, this adds at least 15 seconds. I'm going to throw down a feast if I can find it in my bags. JK, it's hot in the hot bar, so I'm just going to put it down. We're going to eat the feast. I don't think everyone actually ends up eating the feast. Obviously, there's 3 people still to res, you know what I mean? We're just adding so much time to this, but this is testament to how much time you actually save when you do a skip like this, especially with the mobs that we skip. Now, what was recommended here was to pull these 3 with the boss, but we didn't do that because I didn't feel like we needed to. You know, realistically, we might have. It was pretty close. We only had 7 seconds on the gold, so that's not very good, considering how much we skipped and how well, I think, you know, the strategy adapts to the execution, but we didn't execute it very well. So this pack is going to be pretty tough one way or the other if you pull these. Now, if you didn't use this strategy, the only advice I really need to give you guys is the cleft hoof takes a lot of damage, but you need to kill it first because it's going to charge around, knock people around. And then the bird, the wyvern, is going to do this AoE fire. So pretty much you kill the animals in the packs that we skipped. If you want to pull them, you can. You know, if you didn't do what we did in the first room, then you're going to need to. There's no especially, I guess, if you don't have a warlock or a shaman or some way to execute a controlled wipe, then you're going to need to pull them. And it really doesn't add that much more time. It's certainly faster to do what we did there, but yeah, you know, depending on how you want to do that, there's multiple approaches. But anyway, this boss is super easy. I mean, this is probably the easiest boss in any challenge mode. These dogs, just kill them, AoE them down. If you grip them, you know, grip them in or stun them. Despite me having Gorfine's Grasp, I think I probably should have switched back to the stun just for that, just because it would have been a little bit better. But anyway, the boss itself does nothing. When he puts out like the Rylac ad, like the wyvern looking ad, just CC it, or you can stun it, or, you know, with Druid uses a cyclone on it, so that's pretty useful. But yeah, I mean, this is it. We have, so when we got here, we had about, I think we must have had about 5 minutes, 5 or so. Takes us about almost 2 minutes to kill this boss, and then we have 2.5 to kill the last boss. And the last boss is tricky. He's going to require a lot of he requires a lot of DPS to be able to kill in less than 2.5 minutes. It doesn't seem like 2.5 minutes is a long time, but you spend at least, if you get knocked back twice, that's almost a full minute where you're not able to attack the boss. So we'll talk about like how to optimize when we get there, but you'll see there the Rylac adds just cycloned. I'm gonna go over there and stun it to make sure an acid spit doesn't get out. Bombkin's obviously focusing on damage, but there's cyclones happening as well. The time to feed just needs to be broken with damage, nothing to really discuss. And here we stop cycloning, just finish the boss. Takes a little bit longer than we expected. I'm starting to drag him away. It's probably going out of range of people, but yeah, you see him back there like, oh, should I cyclone? Should I DPS? I don't know. But now you'll see there we got 247 after that boss dies left. This is the comfortable margin. Takes us about 15 seconds to get to the boss, which you can't really avoid. And about 2:30 to kill. Actually, it looks like we're gonna have less than that. So, yep. If you have 2 minutes, then you probably can't do this unless you have insane damage. One thing I advocate here, obviously pre-pot. You need to pre-pot on this boss, especially if you didn't. You know, you should not have invised, but definitely got a pre-pot. Terrible defile. I mean, I'm not even standing in it. It's mostly because this hunter just doesn't misdirect me on the bosses. He only does on trash, so I keep assuming the boss is going to come to me, and I get in position first, and the boss... Anyway, yeah. Now, we're killing the guy, the skull first. In retrospect, I don't know if that was the right play. I think the correct play was to just kind of cleave him down, because the reason I was worried about this is, you'll see here, when you get knocked back, he's going to start whirlwinding around. He's like a barbarian from Diablo, right? He just kind of runs around and whirlwinds. But He can come close to you and do a lot of damage. So previous iterations of this strategy made me think that we should kill him first, but he doesn't really do anything now. Like, he's not even here. You see that? He's still back there. So if he was just dotted up, we could have gotten a lot more damage on the boss, and he would die eventually anyway. But, and this guy especially, this guy doesn't even, I don't know if this is bugged, if it's a visual bug or what, but look at it. He's literally just standing still. I don't think that's meant to happen, but regardless, you definitely do not want to, don't ever target that guy. Just cleave and he'll die. So now the second potion is very, very, very important. All right, you want to make sure you use that for executes, because this guy's got a very large health pool, and the more you could execute, the better. We're gonna get knocked back there. He's got about 40% health left, and we have less than a minute to do this. So like I said, this takes a good 20 seconds here. Hunter's gonna go. You're probably gonna need 2 people to do this. We had a druid do it at first and a hunter do it. I think pretty much every DPS class has some good gap closer. A paladin can run up there and bubble with speed of light, etc. But this is where we use our second potions, start kill shotting. You know, any executes you have are going to be very, very important to use, and that's pretty much the entirety. You know what I mean? This is the dungeon. To reiterate, the YOLO strategy that appears in this video is not going to be for everyone. It pretty much requires Gorfiend's Grasp and Shaman or a Warlock or somebody that could help execute a controlled wipe. But you see we beat it by 7 seconds. Not the best. You know, that's a pug. Once again, straight up 5-man, 5 people that I don't believe have ever played together before. I think actually the priest and the bombkin knew each other, but I mean, this was not like, you know, look at the damage. You know what I mean? I did more damage than the druid. So yeah, there's no reason that you guys can't come in here and do this. Especially, I kind of feel like Death Knight tank is just too mandatory. Unfortunate, but it's kind of a fact right now. So if you can execute that YOLO strategy, go for it. If not, then instead of pulling, there was basically 2 packs that we pulled. A pack of 4 out of the gate extra, which was farther in the room, and then a pack of 4 technicians off to the right, which you know, some people just pull those. I don't know. There's many options, but I'd encourage you to be creative. Like I said, there's many iterations, just like Shadowpan Monastery. You can skip this, you can skip that, you can pull this, you can pull that, etc. But as long as you use the Iron Star to kill that. See, the big skip was really the Gron, the Groundling or whatever it is. Ogron, that's it. He needs to die to the Iron Star. I don't know why we didn't get a full set of mob count, but anyway, that's that. So you've seen it done. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to do challenge modes with you guys. I love doing them. No matter what, I will totally do, even if I already have them and stuff like that. So see you guys later.